Hello, welcome to Extra Soul Stories channel. Let's listen to these magical fairy tales and enjoy.
In a kingdom nestled between emerald hills and sapphire seas, there lived a girl named Rapunzel, blessed with hair that shimmered like spun gold. She was the daughter of a once revered healer, taken by a mysterious illness when Rapunzel was just a child. After her mother's passing, the girl was raised by a cruel sorceress named Morwenna, who coveted Rapunzel's beauty and magical hair. Morwenna imprisoned Rapunzel in a towering, ivy-clad tower far from the world. The sorceress would visit only to demand that Rapunzel let down her hair, using it to ascend and steal the girl's essence, which she believed would grant her eternal youth. Despite her plight, Rapunzel remained hopeful, her spirit unbroken. She spent her days weaving dreams into songs, her voice echoing through the forest, drawing the attention of a wandering prince named Alaric. One fateful afternoon, Alaric heard her enchanting melody while hunting in the woods. Intrigued, he followed the sound until he discovered the tower. Climbing the ivy-covered walls, he found Rapunzel, her hair cascading like a golden waterfall. They spoke of dreams and freedom, and as days turned into weeks, their bond deepened. Alaric vowed to rescue her from Morwenna's grasp. But Morwenna was cunning. One evening, she caught Alaric in the act of climbing the tower. Enraged, she cast a spell that turned the prince into a raven, binding him to the skies. Heartbroken, Rapunzel wept, her tears falling upon the earth. In that moment, the spirit of her mother appeared, guiding her to a hidden power within her. With newfound courage, Rapunzel began to weave her hair into a shimmering braid, invoking the magic of her lineage. She called upon the forest, and vines erupted from the ground, ensnaring the tower and shattering Morwenna's magic. The sorceress screamed in fury as her power crumbled. In the aftermath, Rapunzel freed Alaric from his avian form. Together, they faced Morwenna, who, in her desperation, unleashed a tempest of dark magic. But united, Rapunzel and Alaric channeled their love and courage, creating a radiant shield that banished the sorceress forever. With the tower crumbling behind them, Rapunzel and Alaric stepped into the sunlight, hand in hand. They returned to the kingdom, where they were celebrated as heroes. Rapunzel, now free, became a healer like her mother, using her gifts to restore the land. Alaric stood by her side, their hearts forever intertwined, as they built a new life filled with love, laughter, and the promise of adventure.
There lived a princess named Snow White. Her beauty was whispered about in every corner of the kingdom. Her skin as pale as freshly fallen snow, her hair as dark as the midnight sky, and her lips as red as the ripest cherries. For she tended to the wounded creatures of the forest and shared her laughter with the flowers. Snow White's stepmother, the queen, was a sorceress consumed by envy. The queen's heart twisted with rage, and she vowed to rid herself of her rival. She summoned a huntsman. "Take her deep into the forest," she commanded, "and do away with her." Could not bring himself to harm the innocent princess. He led her to a glade filled with wildflowers and whispered, "The queen seeks your life." He watched her disappear into the trees. Snow White wandered through the forest until she stumbled upon a quaint cottage. Inside, she found 7 tiny beds and a kitchen filled with the aroma of baked goods. She fell into a deep sleep upon the softest bed. The cottage belonged to 7 dwarfs, who were enchanted by the sight of the sleeping beauty. The queen's jealousy grew. Disguised as an old peddler, she approached the cottage with a poisoned apple. "Taste this," and the world around her faded into darkness. When the dwarfs discovered her lifeless form, they were heartbroken. They placed her in a glass coffin, mourning their beloved friend. A prince from a distant land happened upon the forest. He was struck by Snow White's beauty and knelt beside her, miraculously, and Snow White awoke, was consumed by rage, as the magic of her mirror turned against her, sealing her in a prison of her own making. Snow White and the prince returned to the kingdom, and the dwarfs were honored as heroes. They lived happily ever after.
In a kingdom veiled by mist and magic, there lived a kind-hearted girl named Cinderella. Orphaned at a young age, she was raised by her cruel stepmother, Lady Malvina, who forced her into servitude alongside her two spoiled daughters, Isolde and Seraphine, and dreaming of a life beyond the soot-stained walls of their grand estate. One fateful evening, the royal palace announced a grand ball to celebrate the prince's coming of age. Every maiden in the kingdom was invited, and dreams of love and adventure filled the air. But Lady Malvina forbade her from attending, deeming her unworthy. Heartbroken, Cinderella retreated to the garden, where she whispered her wishes to the stars above. As the moonlight bathed the garden in silver, a gentle glow emerged. From the shadows stepped her fairy godmother, an ethereal figure with shimmering wings and a warm smile. Your kindness has not gone unnoticed. With a wave of her wand, she transformed a pumpkin into a magnificent carriage, mice into elegant horses, tattered dress into a gown of dazzling silk, complete with glass slippers that sparkled like stars. Her fairy godmother cautioned. Cinderella set off to the ball, her spirits soaring. Upon arriving, the hall was alive with laughter and music. The prince, a handsome young man named Elias, was captivated by Cinderella's grace. They danced under the shimmering chandeliers, lost in each other's eyes. But as the clock began to chime midnight, panic surged through Cinderella. She fled the palace, leaving behind one delicate glass slipper. Prince Elias searched the kingdom for the owner of the slipper. When he arrived at Cinderella's home, Isolde and Seraphine tried desperately to fit their feet into the delicate shoe. But it was Cinderella who emerged. The slipper fit perfectly, and the prince recognized her as the girl who had stolen his heart. Cinderella and Elias were united. Lady Malvina was banished from the kingdom, while Cinderella's kindness and resilience were celebrated as she stepped into her new life as the beloved princess. Cinderella knew that dreams, when nurtured with kindness and courage, could indeed come true.